Hi, I'm Alex, this is Pucksandpaperbacks, and happy Pride! Today I am recommending you queer books, but in the style of, if you like this, then read that. The way this video works is I'll be mentioning a popular or hyped queer book and pairing it with another queer book. These are all books that I've read and personally recommend. I actually did this video a couple years ago, so I'll link it down below. Let's get to the books. If you liked Mooncakes by Suzanne Walker and Wendy Xu, you should read Beetle and the Hollow Bones by Eliza Lane. Both are paranormal books with queer witches. This is such a fun read. We have queer witches coming into their powers, a non-binary ghost, and a sapphic romance. If you liked Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Malinda, you should read The 30 Names of Night by Zane Jukada. Similarly, we have historical fiction, queerness, and art. I could also pair the companion here, A Scatter of Light, which is one of my favorite books. I think A Scatter of Light is very similar to this book as well, but as a whole, we have historical fiction, art, and coming into your identity. This book is so underrated. I don't even know how to explain it. I just feel like these books have similar vibes. 5 years after a suspicious fire killed his ornithologist mother, a closeted Syrian-American trans boy sheds his birth name and searches for a new one. He has been unable to paint since his mother's ghost has begun to visit him each evening. As his grandmother's sole caretaker, he spends his days cooped up in their apartment, avoiding his neighborhood, his estranged sister, and his best friend, who also happens to be his longtime crush. The only time he feels truly free is when he slips out at night to paint murals on buildings in the once thriving Manhattan neighborhood known as Little Syria. One night, he enters the abandoned community house and finds the tattered journal of a Syrian-American artist named Lila Z, who dedicated her career to painting the birds of North America. She's famously and mysteriously disappeared more than 60 years before, but her journal contains proof that his mother and Lila Z encountered the same rare bird before their deaths. If you've read Last Night at the Telegraph Club, I feel like that synopsis tells you exactly why I feel like we have similar themes here, especially because it talks a lot about family and your history. In Last Night at the Telegraph Club, we see flashbacks to the family members of our main character, and we see that here as well. This is such an underrated book, and if you're trans, I highly recommend this. If you liked Running with Lions by Julian Winters, you should read You Don't Have a Shot by Raquel Murray. If you like Soccer Gaze, a book set at a soccer camp, rivals to lovers. I know Running with Lions doesn't really have that because it's an estranged childhood friend, but I feel like they still have the same vibes, and if you're craving more soccer books with queer characters, I highly recommend this book. It's gritty, there's grief, and messy queers. For representation, Valentina is Colombian Irish American, and for identity, she is asexual and pan-romantic. This is a super queer book. Our love interest, Leticia, is sapphic and Latina. Before we get back into the book recs, this video is sponsored by my Patreon. If you want to learn how to support me as a small trans creator and my content has ever been meaningful to you, stick around. And if not, you can just switch to the next chapter. But if you are interested, this is how you can get exclusive content every month. This is like my own little streaming service. Over on Patreon, I post every single week. You get something on either tier. I have 3 tiers. The tip jar at $2.50, where you get my weekly newsletter and monthly behind the scenes content. I just posted an extended version of my Plan With Me video for my patrons where I share how I plan all of my content for June. With the Paperback Pal, you get behind the scenes content, a monthly sit down video or live stream a month. This month is a live stream, but last month I did a video where I tier ranked my 2014 reads and it was really interesting. He's just hasn't aged well. I don't know how I remember this because I read it in 2014. Oh my god. We have so many authors that haven't aged well. I also did a video where I read some Am I the Asshole posts on Reddit that were bookish, and it was a time. I'm going to need everyone to strap in for the next one. Am I the Asshat for reading smut at Barnes & Noble? I don't understand why you went to the mall before you went to the dentist. Like, oh, on the way to the dentist, let's go to Hot Topic. Like, boy, they just should have never went to the mall. I think that was the problem. It also includes access to my weekly newsletter, the Paperback Post, where I update you on what I'm currently reading, filming, and what's on my channel that week, as well as some favorites that I've been enjoying, and I provide a bookish poll every month. And last is my top tier, the Bookish bundle. You get a shout out at the end of each video, a personalized book rec every quarter of the year, and you get a personalized birthday card in the mail during the month of your birthday. Plus, they get a vlog every month. Usually it has been a spoiler reading vlog. Last month I reread Check Please. I also read Legends and Lattes for the first time and documented that experience. If any of that sounds interesting to you, there's a sale going on right now until the 8th of July. If you use code PRIDE60 at checkout, you get 60% off your first month. That means the paperback pal tier is at $2 and the Bookish bundle is at $4. These prices are before tax, and the deal only applies to the paperback pal and Bookish bundle tier. If you want exclusive content every month, access to my Discord, and to support me, a small trans creator, if my content's ever been meaningful to you, I would really appreciate any and all support over on Patreon. But if you can't, I totally understand. I do have a free tier which has a monthly newsletter where I share everything that happened on Patreon and on YouTube that month, and I also give you some freebies. Plus, you also get access to my Discord. I'd love for you to join me in the Paperback Pals over on Patreon. It is the best way to support me. I am not monetized here on this channel. This is what my bar looks like at the moment, and it does not feel like I'm even close to hitting monetization. So if you have the means to support me for the price of a Netflix subscription or coffee, I would really appreciate it. But of course, I appreciate any and all support here on YouTube as well. You're the reason my bar even looks like this, because at the beginning of the year, I had no idea what would even happen. I could not even imagine it looking like this. So thank you again for all of your support, and back to the video. If you enjoyed Upright Women Wanted, you should read Lucky Red by Claudia Cravens. If you read Upright Women Wanted and were like, where's the rest? I want more, it's here. If you're craving a found family, look no further than Lucky Red. This is a Western following Bridget, a 16-year-old girl who's on the run. Her father passes away and she has to fend for herself. She ends up finding a brothel filled with queer women who take her in, and the rest is history. I love this book so much, and if you can access the audiobook, I highly recommend that. It's very immersive, and the narrator does a great job capturing the essence of the book, and she does a great Southern accent. This is what you want if you enjoyed Upright Women Wanted. Even though it's not written by the same author, it feels like a companion to that book. If you liked Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World by Ashley Herring Blake, you should read Winnie Nash Is Not Your Sunshine by Nicole Melleby. If you are not reading Nicole Melleby and you love queer middle grade, this is where you should start, especially if you liked Ivy. I feel like Ivy and Winnie would be friends if they ever cross paths. For Winnie, there's a lot going on in her life. She is currently at the Jersey Shore for the summer with her grandmother, who she has heard not the best things about, but she has to be on good behavior because her mom is having a complicated pregnancy and she doesn't want to ruin anything. Winnie is a frustrated and angry little girl. She's been hiding her smiles to save for her mom because that's what her dad told her to do. Plus, she's also been advised to not tell her grandma that she's gay because her mom wanted to protect her. Winnie is put through a lot, all for the comfort of the adults in her life. But there are some bright spots in Winnie's life. She meets two girls, Louisa and Pippa, who she might have a crush on. So if you enjoyed Ivy and you want a similar book and are just craving more queer middle grade, you can't go wrong with Winnie Nash. Next might be a little bit of a stretch, but hear me out. If you liked Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, you should read A Gentleman's Gentleman by TJ Alexander. Now, I hate to comp Red, White, and Royal Blue with any book because it is very overused. Any Achillean romance is always comped as that book, and it's usually inaccurate. But hear me out, I feel like this works. The Queer Principles of Kit Webb by Cat Sebastian could also work here. A Gentleman's Gentleman is a T for T Regency romance set in 1800s England following Lord Christopher Eden, a trans man who is stealth, and he ends up fancying his valet, James Harding. This was a laugh out loud book. It made me laugh, almost cry, and was so endearing. Just the fact that we get to see trans people existing in 1800s England, because they did, is so refreshing, and I just loved every minute of this book. I also recommend the audiobook narrated by Harrison Knights. I thought they did a fantastic job. Red, White, and Royal Blue has an unlikely rivals to lovers romance between the son of the US president and Prince Henry of England. And that's where I'm coming at here. We have an unlikely romance between a valet and a lord. And Christopher Eden is very grumpy and he just wants James Harding to go away. But he also fancies him so much that he's sick of it. And of course, we all know Red, White, and Royal Blue is very steamy, and we have some steamy scenes in here as well. So that is where I am comparing these two. So if you're looking for a T for T romance with Regency and you liked or disliked Red, White, and Royal Blue, I feel this is a good match. If you liked The Dead in the Dark by Courtney Gould, you should read Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. This is another instance where I'm recommending it specifically because of an aspect of each book. So both books talk about the TV industry and being a queer person. In The Dead in the Dark, our main character is the daughter of famous ghost hunters who are both gay. But it also talks about being gay in the South and discrimination, homophobia. It's a very gory book. It is YA and Bury Your Gaze is adult. So if you read The Dead in the Dark but you want to read an adult book, Bury Your Gaze, especially if you can access the audiobook, it is a fantastic audiobook. I think these just go so well together. If you've read The Dead in the Dark and then go on to read Bury Your Gaze, I think you'll understand why I recommended these two in tandem, because they just feel similar. There's nothing else that I can explain unless you've read them. So if you're looking to dive deeper into the Bury Your Gaze trope, you want some gore, and you really enjoyed The Dead in the Dark, I highly recommend Bury Your Gaze. And if you haven't read any of them, I do recommend both of these. If you liked Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochrun, you should read Here We Go Again by Alison Cochrun. If you liked the second chance romance aspect of Kiss Her Once for Me, Here We Go Again is so much better. Of course, I loved Kiss Her Once for Me. It's one of my favorite books, but Here We Go Again is so beautiful, and I think more people need to read it. We follow two women who used to date in high school, and they have been on bad terms ever since. So when their English teacher approaches them to go on a road trip for the end of his life as he's dying from cancer, they both say yes. If you liked the second chance romance in Kiss Her Once for Me and you wanted it expanded and you just wanted another second chance romance book from this author, this book. But it is going to make you sob. Here's proof of me reading it. If you've ever had an English teacher that impacted you, this is going to mean a lot to you. But like I said, it's very emotional. I love this book so much. It's very interpersonal, and I loved both of these characters so much. We have ADHD rep. Both girls have ADHD in different ways. One has inattentive and the other has hyperactive. And I thought that this was just such a well done book. I love it so much, especially if you liked the character development of Alison Cochrun's books. Read this and then get back to me and tell me how much it absolutely destroyed you. If you liked We Have Always Been Here by Samra Habib, you should read Hijab Butch Blues by Lamia H. If you've read and loved this is required reading in my opinion. Lamia dissects passages from the Quran and compares them to queerness and transness as they are on their journey of realizing she is non-binary. I loved this, and this is exactly what I needed after I read that. And if you're just looking to read more about queer Muslims, you can't go wrong with any of these. And last, if you enjoyed Pizza Girl by Koung Fraizer, you should read Your Driver is Waiting by Priya Guns. These books have such similar vibes. If you enjoyed the social commentary in Pizza Girl, I think this is such a great comp. We have a woman who is providing for her family. Her father passed away and her mother is sick, and so she is a rideshare driver making ends meet and being the breadwinner for her family. But around her, everybody is protesting to have better wages for rideshares. But she can't do that. She's like, I would love to be in solidarity with you and be on the picket line, but this is my job, and if I just stop, I can't afford to feed myself and my mother. And so it is such a great commentary on activist spaces, and I also recommend it in tandem with Pizza Girl, because in Pizza Girl she becomes infatuated and obsessed with a woman, and that is the same thing that happens here. She becomes obsessed with this woman who is an escape for her, but at the same time, this is not a great person. She is deep in white feminism. You're not going to like her. She's very unlikable, and that is why I think this is a great comp to Pizza Girl. There's a lot of similarities between these two books, so that's why I'm recommending this here. And those are all of my recommendations. If you're new here, hi, I'm Alex. This is Pucks and Paperbacks, where I love to shout about queer and trans books, and it is Pride Month, so you're required to subscribe to me if you like queer books as well, and you want to hear more of my thoughts. I share book recommendations all the time, so I will link a playlist down below for you if you want more. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and leave a comment. It helps me out a ton. You can just leave a rainbow emoji. Thank you to my top patrons for their support this month. I really appreciate it, and if you want to get in on that 60% off sale, the link is down below to my Patreon. If you want more book recs, I'll link one here and you can subscribe there.